Numbers chapter 27. The daughters of Zelophehad. One day, a petition was presented by the daughters of Zelophehad: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Their father Zelophehad was a descendant of Hepher, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, son of Joseph. These women stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the tribal leaders, and the entire community at the entrance of the tabernacle. "Our father died in the wilderness," they said. "He was not among Korah's followers who rebelled against the Lord. He died because of his own sin, but he had no sons. Why should the name of our father disappear from his clan just because he had no sons? Give us property along with the rest of our relatives." So Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord replied to Moses, "The claim of the daughters of Zelophehad is legitimate. You must give them a grant of land along with their father's relatives. Assign them the property that would have been given to their father, and give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If a man dies and has no son, then give his inheritance to his daughters. And if he has no daughter either, transfer his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. But if his father has no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his clan. This is a legal requirement for the people of Israel, just as the Lord commanded Moses." Joshua, chosen to lead Israel. One day, the Lord said to Moses, "Climb one of the mountains east of the river and look out over the land I have given the people of Israel. After you have seen it, you will die like your brother Aaron, for you both rebelled against my instructions in the wilderness of Zin. When the people of Israel rebelled, you failed to demonstrate my holiness to them at the waters. These are the waters of Meribah at Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin." Then Moses said to the Lord,
"O Lord, you are the God who gives breath to all creatures. Please appoint a new man as leader for the community. Give them someone who will guide them wherever they go and will lead them into battle, so the community of the Lord will not be like sheep without a shepherd."
The Lord replied, "Take Joshua, son of Nun, who has the Spirit in him, and lay your hands on him. Present him to Eleazar the priest before the whole community, and publicly commission him to lead the people. Transfer some of your authority to him so the whole community of Israel will obey him. When direction from the Lord is needed, Joshua will stand before Eleazar the priest, who will use the Urim, one of the sacred lots cast before the Lord, to determine his will. This is how Joshua and the rest of the community of Israel will determine everything they should do." So Moses did as the Lord commanded. He presented Joshua to Eleazar the priest and the whole community. Moses laid his hands on him and commissioned him to lead the people, just as the Lord had commanded through Moses.
Chapter 9. Jesus heals a man born blind. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. "Rabbi," his disciples asked, "why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins?"
"It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins,"
Jesus answered.
"This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I am here in the world, I am the light of the world."
Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him,
"Go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam."
Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors and others who knew him as a blind beggar asked each other, "Isn't this the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said he was, and others said, "No, he just looks like him." But the beggar kept saying,
"Yes, I am the same one."
They asked, "Who healed you? What happened?" He told them,
"The man they called Jesus made mud and spread it over my eyes and told me, 'Go to the pool of Siloam and wash yourself.' So I went and washed, and now I can see."
"Where's he now?" they asked.
"I don't know,"
he replied. Then they took the man who had been blind to the Pharisees, because it was on the Sabbath that Jesus had made the mud and healed him. The Pharisees asked the man all about it. So he told them,
"He put the mud over my eyes, and when I washed it away, I could see."
Some of the Pharisees said.
This man Jesus is not from God, for he is working on the Sabbath.
Others said, but how could an ordinary sinner do such miraculous signs? So there was a deep division of opinion among them. Then the Pharisees again questioned the man who had been blind and demanded,
What's your opinion about this man who healed you?
The man replied.
I think he must be a prophet.
The Jewish leaders still refused to believe the man had been blind and could now see. So they called in his parents. They asked him,
Is this your son? Was he born blind? If so, how can he now see?
His parents replied, We know this is our son and that he was born blind. But we don't know how he can see or who healed him. Ask him. He is old enough to speak for himself. His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders, who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the synagogue. That's why they said, He is old enough. Ask him. So for the second time, they called in the man who had been blind and told him,
God should get the glory for this, because we know this man Jesus is a sinner.
I don't know whether he is a sinner,
the man replied.
but I know this. I was blind, and now I can see.
But what did he do?
They asked.
How did he heal you?
Look,
The man exclaimed,
I told you once. Didn't you listen? Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples too?
Then they cursed him and said,
You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't even know where this man comes from.
Well, that's very strange.
The man replied,
He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from? We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship him and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it.
You were born a total sinner.
They answered,
Are you trying to teach us?
and they threw him out of the synagogue. Spiritual blindness. When Jesus heard what had happened, he found the man and asked.
Do you believe in the Son of Man?
The man answered,
Who is he, sir? I want to believe in him.
You have seen him,
Jesus said.
and he is speaking to you.
Yes, Lord. I believe.
The man said, and he worshipped Jesus. Then Jesus told him,
I entered this world to render judgment, to give sight to the blind and to show those who think they see that they are blind.
Some Pharisees who were standing nearby heard him and asked.
Are you saying we're blind?
If you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty.
Jesus replied,
But you remain guilty because you claim you can see.